So in this video, I hope to try and educate people as to what the damage using strimmers does around trees. As you can see here from the picture, this is a picture where the actual tree was damaged from the deck of a ride-on lawnmower rather than a strimmer, but unfortunately the damage is the exact same thing. While it might look ugly and perhaps you think you're not doing that much harm, I hope to go a little bit into the plant science, plant biology, and hope to try and explain to you just how much damage you're doing by even touching it the slightest bit with a strimmer or the deck of a lawnmower. So the plant science is actually quite simple. Just beneath the bark of the tree you have the candidium layer, and inside the candidium layer you basically have two vessels, one called the phloem and the other called the xylem. So basically the phloem is the vessel that moves sap up and down throughout the tree, while the xylem is the one that only moves the sap up. But regardless of this, the important point I'm trying to get across is that these are located just beneath the bark. So when you see a site like this, you can be quite assured that the xylem and the phloem are busted apart. There is no way for this tree to transport its sap up and down throughout the tree. So basically at this point of the tree, you can see that the tree is actually about 2/3 of the bark is run. So this tree is dependent on the remaining third of the xylems and the phloem to bring the sap up and down through it. As you can see, the image now has changed and it's come to a tilia, which has been damaged by the deck of a mower perhaps 2, maybe 5 years ago. And as you can see, it is starting to recover as the candidium is starting to naturally graft and is going to fully recover. But this has hindered the establishment of this tree by at least 5 years in my estimation, possibly even more. But this damage could very easily have been avoided by simply using another method to keep the weeds clean around trees. So we're going to go on to the next image now, and as you can see there, we have a tree that is established. Now, to be fair, it has some strimmer damage from the previous owner. But we simply sprayed a ring of herbicide around it, approximately 1 foot by 1 foot, and that will stop any further weeds hindering the tree's growth and removes the need for you to get so close to it with a mower. Now naturally, extreme caution has to be used when applying herbicide around trees. As most herbicides like Roundup, Rambo are systemic. Once they touch a part of the tree, they will indeed kill the rest of the tree. So here's an easy application for applying Roundup or Rambo around trees. Basically, you make up the solution in the bucket, where in the appropriate PPE equipment, you simply wipe it onto the grass like so, and it will kill the weeds for 3 to 6 months. It'll kill the grass off for 3 to 6 months. A word of warning, avoid doing this under extreme heat, as when the liquid that you apply to the grass with the herbicide in it begins to evaporate, it can also damage the underside of the leaves. So just basically avoid doing it in showery times and in times of extreme heat. When using glyphosate-based chemicals such as Roundup or Rambo, it is important to note that once this chemical comes in touch with the soil, it actually becomes neutralised. So I'm sure some of you are wondering that why put the spray on top of the ground, it must damage the roots. This will not happen. Once the soil touches the chemical becomes neutralised and it will not harm the tree's roots. Now, whilst applying herbicide with a paintbrush, while it is very safe, it is also very slow. So depending on the number of trees you have, this may not be feasible. As you can see, you can also use a small 5-litre sprayer like so. I always use it at very low pressure, so a jet of water flows out of it rather than a mist, as a mist can be carried far away in a bit of wind drift. Keeping the nozzle very close to the ground, you can quite safely apply herbicide around the tree. Obviously you avoid the trunk, and if, in this case the tree's leaves are very high up, so you always have to be very careful around the leaf of the tree, as if the herbicide touches the leaf, it will kill it. Using the sprayer method, I cannot emphasise how important it is to make sure that the day isn't too hot, that it isn't too windy, as we do not want to damage anything, only the weeds that we're actually spraying. If you touch a leaf, you will kill the tree, so be very careful. Work slowly, work carefully, and keep the nozzle extremely close to the ground. Also, when working with all chemicals and herbicides, I cannot recommend highly enough that you wear the correct PPE equipment. Follow the instructions on the bottle and everything should be okay. Thank you for watching this video.